These are the 8 high protein foods that pack the most nutritional punch. See, it's easy to just say protein is great, but different proteins have different nutrient profiles too. There's different stuff in beef than there is in chicken. There's different stuff in Greek yogurt than there is in whey protein, right? So we need to understand the highest protein foods, but also where their nutritional strong suits are. So I've got 8 types of protein with different nutritional benefits for different use cases. Without further ado, let's just jump right in. Before we get into the very first one, I put a link down below for ARMRA colostrum. I think gut health is one of the most, if not the most important thing. At least it is for what I'm focusing on this year. I've pledged to take care of my gut better this year. So colostrum you've probably seen a lot about. Colostrum is a compound that is secreted right after birth, right? So it's passing on a lot of lactoferrin, a lot of bioactive compounds that can support life in general. Now for the gut, there's a lot of strong literature to back it up. The problem is most colostrum products end up having so much high heat acted upon it when they're creating the product that it's denaturing and getting rid of a lot of the bioactive compounds in the first place. ARMRA uses a biopotent cold technology that preserves those bioactive compounds, making it one of the most unique, if not the most unique colostrum that's on the market. So that link below gets you 15% off. So that link and that code in the top line of the description, if you go to tryarmra.com/Thomas, I think you'll notice this stuff. I think you'll notice it quick. It took me about a week to start noticing a difference in my digestion and my gut health, but I really noticed it in my complexion, and people started to notice it pretty quick, that I just looked better. I didn't have the circles under my eyes. I looked more rested. Anyhow, that link is down below just beneath this video. Let's jump right into the first one that is very simple, and that's going to be lean poultry. Now, before you skip this video thinking this is going to be boring and lame, I'm getting this one out of the way. There's no particular order with this video. Okay, lean poultry is good for general weight loss. Why? Because lean poultry is very simple. There is not a lot of fat on it, so you're not having this crazy cattywampus caloric count. It's just simple. But additionally, lean poultry is very high in B vitamins, specifically niacin. And when you're dieting, when you're cutting weight, you do want things that are going to help out what's called NAD production. It can just overall help your metabolism, help you feel a little bit more energized. So you need NAD literally within every single cell within your body. You'd be dead within 15 seconds if you did not have it. So I like chicken for that simple reason. If you're just trying to drop weight, it's simple, it's easy, and it's easy to track the calories from it. But now let's move into the next one. It's a little bit more nuanced, but very specific and very tasty. That's going to be mutton or lamb. Now, mutton or lamb are very good sources of protein when it comes down to fat loss specifically. Why is this the case? Well, for one, it's still a relatively lean meat, so you're not getting a bunch of calories coming from fats, but the fats that are in mutton and lamb are between saturated fat and monounsaturated fats predominantly. So you've got 2 relatively stable fats. Monounsaturated fats, in terms of fats that are not saturated, are pretty darn stable. So you've got a nice profile of fats that might improve insulin sensitivity and help out metabolism overall. But then you've got a meat source that is the highest source of conjugated linoleic acid that you're going to find in meat. Beef has CLA, but mutton and lamb seems to be even higher. There was a study that was published in the journal Nutrition that found that when subjects had varying dosages of conjugated linoleic acid, they all lost more fat than the placebo group. Conjugated linoleic acid seems to be playing a role at the gene expression level to help with fat metabolism by increasing fatty acid transporters that help kind of get the fat into the cell to be utilized and burned. So if fat loss is your goal, from a simple caloric standpoint, mutton and lamb are lean, but you're also getting something that might help you utilize fats a little bit better. It's kind of nuanced, but it's pretty darn neat. This next one is for people that are concerned about maybe losing muscle, or people that are trying to build a little bit of muscle. But we're talking about, for aging people, beef. It's kind of counterintuitive, right? Like lean beef just doesn't seem like something you'd want to eat as you get older from what we see in the general media and what we see, right? Not always the case. First of all, we're talking lean meat, so we're not necessarily going down any specific rabbit hole. But as far as the nutrient content of beef is concerned, very nutrient dense, very rich in B12, which is tremendous for your energy levels as you get older. But there's one very important piece, and that's creatine. And people get so freaked out about creatine. But if you look at a study that's published in the journal Endocrine, it found that moderate amounts of creatine were better at fighting off sarcopenia than just resistance training alone. So creatine plus a little bit of resistance training was better than resistance training alone for staving off muscle wasting. As you get older, muscle wasting might very well be the most detrimental thing to your health and to your metabolism. And then what's kind of counterintuitive is that we typically think red meat, bad for the heart. Like it's kind of what's been ingrained. It's not really that case. I mean, if you overeat anything, it's going to be problematic. But the B12 content in lean red meat helps break down and remove homocysteine, which is a tremendous risk factor for cardiovascular disease. So as you get older, red meat might be even more important. Doesn't mean you need to eat 5 servings a day of it. Maybe a lean serving per day of some lean filet or lean ground beef might be really good. This next one is really good if you're trying to build muscle, or if you're trying to support your immune system, because it packs one of the most powerful protein punches, and that's going to be venison. And you might be thinking, oh, okay, well, venison, that's obscure. I'm not a hunter. No, if you go to almost any like regular health food store, not a regular store, but a regular health food store, a Sprouts, maybe a Whole Foods, something like that, in the frozen section, you can typically find venison still. So lean ground venison, you're going to have significantly less fat than beef. You're still going to have high amounts of B12, still rich nutrient profile, but it's one of the richest sources of zinc when it comes down to land animals. You can find zinc in shellfish and stuff like that, but it's a little bit more obscure. Zinc is critical for the immune system. Okay, so if you have a really hard time getting zinc in, you're not supplementing, you're not getting the right nuts in, you're not eating the right profiles of seafood and meats, venison's going to pack that powerful punch. So protein plus immune system support. The next one is the absolute solid best protein for the brain, and I stand behind this 100%, and that's going to be eggs. Okay, eggs are interesting because yes, they have the fatty acid profile that could be interesting. They have good saturated fat, which is great for myelination. They have high amounts of dietary cholesterol, which can help hormone function, which might help the brain. But the part that I'm leaning into the most is the choline. Okay, choline is a precursor to acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter that's required for signals and just nerve transmissions. Without acetylcholine, your brain cannot send a signal to another neuron. A neuron can't communicate with another neuron. So it's very, very critical. What's cool is that there was a study published in the British Journal of Nutrition, took a look at 2,195 people that were aged between 70 and 74, and they saw a very strong positive correlation between the amount of choline that they consumed and their cognitive performance and memory. Less choline, more cognitive decline. More choline, more cognitive performance, and better memory. So as far as the brain is concerned, and as far as general protein concentration, eggs are super powerful, and you want the full egg, not just the white. If you're only focused on the protein, you're not concerned with the nutrient profile, sure, you can just have the white. This next one is the best one to have in 2 particular use cases. One, you're trying to increase muscle via muscle anabolism, trying to be as anabolic as you can. And the second one is when you're sick, because it has some interesting evidence behind it there. We're talking about whey protein. Whey protein is great for multiple reasons. It's super easy. You can get the protein in. I dig it. I love that. Okay, but what's very unique about it is so rapidly absorbed that it's extremely insulinogenic, meaning it spikes your insulin quite high. This scares people because insulin is demonized so much, but insulin's like my favorite hormone. It's so important to manipulate it properly. And when you consume whey protein, you get the spike in insulin, okay, and that is what also drives the muscle anabolism, along with the high concentration of leucine that's in whey protein. So leucine is the primary amino acid that drives protein synthesis. So you have this insulinogenic spike because everything's absorbing fast, but then you also get leucine that's driving this whole mTOR pathway to begin with. So very anabolic type of protein. But there was a study published in Anti-Cancer Research that found that whey protein is a unique carrier of what is called cysteine. It contains cysteine, and that cysteine becomes a donor for glutathione replenishment when you're sick. So if you're immunosuppressed, you're sick, or you're just run down, cysteine is going to help replenish glutathione, because glutathione is an antioxidant in your body. And what it does is it donates an electron to neutralize free radicals. Okay, so when it goes through this process of giving one of its electrons, it needs a new electron to come to it. Well, cysteine is required for this glutathione pathway to replenish this glutathione in general and put this electron back in place. Bottom line is we can't produce glutathione without cysteine. So very important there. The next one is going to be the plant-based one, because I know people want that option, and whether you eat meat or not, it's still something to consider. And that's going to be pumpkin seed protein along with hemp, or pumpkin seeds plus hemp seeds. Why do I say this? Well, hemp seeds are one of the only complete proteins in terms of the seed category, okay? Very nice to find that. So it means they have all the essential amino acids that we need, that our body actually needs to complete a protein. We have non-essential amino acids that are already created in our body, but we have EAAs that we need to get from food. So that's great to see. But pumpkin protein is here because pumpkin seeds contain like 30% of their total weight in protein. Packs a protein punch. So you get the concentration of protein volume along with the hemp protein, you're getting the actual completeness of the profile. So you combine those together and you've got a tremendous source of plant-based protein. We're also starting to see some interesting evidence with pumpkin seeds. We saw some research in Biology of Science that found that pumpkin seeds improved all metabolic markers. Like we're looking at glucose, we're looking at insulin, fasting insulin, glucose tolerance, even when fructose was in the equation too. So even when it was in tandem with a bunch of carbohydrates and fructose, it still improved metabolic markers. I can't really tell you the mechanism here. We don't really know. But I've always liked pumpkin seeds because they're rich in zinc, they have a good nutrient profile, so it might just be the minerals in general that are helping out this cause. But if you're plant-based, that's the route to go. Now, 2 quick honorable mentions. Okay, if you're looking at gut health, then Greek yogurt takes the cake. Okay, now my recommendation with Greek yogurt, kefir, or anything like that, whenever possible, try to go raw. The pasteurization does kill off a fair bit of the beneficial bacteria. Okay, so you kind of want to lean into that whenever you can. The next one that makes the list, but it's a little bit more weird for people, it's going to be shellfish. Okay, shellfish, super high mineral content, super high protein content, and flat out a very universal concentrated way to get a good amount of protein. Plus, it's the best way to seem super fancy. I'll see you tomorrow.